Okay, I know I'm skipping some parts here. It's not quite the whole get you to the classical mechanics where the chess piece knows where it is and it knows what it's doing, but there was a couple other topics I want to talk about in there. Let's see if I can do it real quick. Yeah, I'm not staying. Like I said, I was playing with that string theory for Cooper pairs because, well, Cooper pairs. You find out that Earth got some rockers going on down here, bud. I mean, it's pretty wild. We have mimetic hazards, this stuff just laying around out there. Could you imagine the shit that's gonna cause if you are on an aggro world? All right. Well, anyways. Um, all right, so again, you can't really see what's written up here. I might take another picture of it to get another set. But here I'm saying that I just describing it. You're going to have to stay with me because these guys did whatever they did. But technically, I'm very close. I don't know if I'm exactly accurate in the way that I need to be for this to work out correctly. It's somewheres in here against some of the permutations or combinations. I mean, I might have did something right, but I did it backwards, or like the A and the B is classically 80% better, y'all like that, so I just clink, move to it, and gravitate to that because that's what that does. But as you can see here, we don't have any color charges to any of this, and the more you get complicated with this type of series, with these very simple parts, you're going to want something to reflect and refract the nature of the equation that you're dealing with. So at some point in time, I might need a blue. I would probably specify red to blue. That would be the best way I would do it. But that's to say that that's what this was. I thought actually yellow came before green on the spectrum going to blue, but whatever. It's red to blue with green in the middle. They're RGB values as far as the colors of the computers are concerned, and we'll need that later. But for right now, we always start with a red sector, and then there would be like a cosmic rip inside of here about, if you've seen some of that other stuff about that red shifting, blue shifting nature of the newer computer algorithms they have, well, that's basically the snowflake, right? You're saying that, your X value. I'm even a little concerned about, well, they can't have the same quark value, so these all can't be all negative in correlation to being the strongest electron comparatively to these two neutral values, if that's really what that's going to be to an X and Y snowflake. They would actually probably, I have another one drawn where I said A1 lowercase b, right? And I just replaced that with A for what it is. And it can't be another A. You can have series of other free hydrogens, but from this one, once you observe it as itself, it can't be an A1. It has to be itself, or any A1 that comes to that realization of what's going down, whether it's get a charge, radiation, quarks in the stone mill floor, they'll do it. They'll fill in some hole about what the orientation is supposed to be in there in a classic manner. Again, all these in that notebook in the proper order of me doing some crazy stuff is just smashing stuff down so later on I can reorganize this. It'll probably look similar to these things, but I might condense them or compress them all in one file. Because that's more convenient to the way I play that photon, gluon, W boson, Z boson thing, even if that's a full column of information. It gets real messy inside of there because of this. There could be a state of entropy where that value is mechanical, but the brain can't really handle it without the program. But essentially, this program will give you that one chess piece again. And then I changed the floor value, right? The the RGB value of what that tile shadow would look like, or why there's a plane for that. I might not need that plane right now, but later on, when all that turns into YouTube, here's your header bar and everything like that. That combination is, well, that there's not really a standard model. Header's not going to give me the title of it, the page design, how to take some of that and describe it in the pixels. It needs to be in this form, because that form is, again, one of those other parallel kings at the board or other pawns that might have, I have a set of information, this one has, we're both on the same team, we're on a different team, but because of that orientation, they share that kind of charge where one of them's the electron and one of them's the mu. But comparatively, from the whole perspective, if it was 80-20, then perhaps that would be the tau or potentially the mu electron, depending on how it came to you at that board, which you may not know. See, it might, you could argue that the spaces come first because that's relative, or is just the combinations of adjusting to A from a geometry or some, structure that's out there. Is that shape? It's just registering the pixel sensor, like, oh, there's a black one there, there's a white one there, and even though that there's a certain geometry in that pixel, that I could run that out like Code Bullet's tile game there, or even Clone Hero that he did, because now I'm going to change out what color reference is in this way, so that way the computer structure would know how to deal with that from all the resistors, the inputs of all that energy, the field, and it's all its universe into the turbine somewheres that turn that wire in such a way that, this, well, from the Fed, this civilian, depending on how far you want to go down the rabbit hole there, to just the dark spaces that are out there that you got to start testing, and whether it was something that filled in when you were done, or it was something that was well defined, because later on we'll go about to why that anti-problem is its own self-sustaining meme or self-satisfying meme. Well, if it's in there in the dark, then that one has to do it as well, right? Here I am doing all this information, which gives somebody else a platform. Maybe perhaps one of those A primes, B's, lowercase A's at the kingdom. You're just watching for your boss over there that's watching me from alpha. And it's relative here. You can get this caught over, especially when you make that jump that, here I'm playing some Fed number and I got some bad guy out there that's real heavy, and a bunch of, there's lower subordinates in any form or combination that could come at me. And that's kind of the nature of that hydrogen gambit about what's going on there. Certainly between hydrogen and helium gaining the electrons or stabilizing out in some physical field, apparently. Earth, gravitational means, at least how we are going to set up what one is and measure on what they're adding together to how it does. And I'm not exactly... It works morally like lensing the universe. Read it. So again, in there... a little off track here. I just want to say that Jordan Scoville, Danger Dave inside of here, and probably any of the IMA militia or something like that I was doing. Office manager is what I said. I said it was pretty competitive. Even though it's a pawn, it's still a pawn on a floor that has a differential, that there was a bunch of regular civilians together out there led by somebody or without. In any combination that they could come at you. And then I did John the Warrior Poet, Gunny's wife, Gunny's kids, just because I was trying to add that second set inside of there. They might have had a larger magnitude than I had at the board between me, myself, and Irene. But basically there, that's going to drop down into Mabel, the cow out back. I'm going to get that cow one day, John. I know we all will. It's the version of that cow when it's one of those pieces in the same way, because it bring up all kinds of fun stuff, colors, shapes, everything.